We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go
I like
down.
the way you ride with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Going down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Come around and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
So, new year, new intro. Let's get it. I'm not so sure if I'm going to promise to be a brand new me this year, but my reactions are going to be a lot differently. I'm not going to be doing the most. I'm not going to be doing above and beyond, and I'm going to stay in my lane. That is how 2026 is going to be from here out. Either roll with me or I'm going to roll over you or around you. Whichever is easier.
Okay, she headed to the dance floor and she slowly starts out popping it. Song like my wrist piece, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I would be stupid to be not on it.
Watch me flex. We pause to honor the breath that sustains us and the silence that clears the way. We step into this space, rooted in ancient wisdom, shielded against distraction, and undisturbed in our purpose. As we open these pages and engage these ideas, grant us the clarity to discern signal from static. May the words we explore serve as tools for liberation, strengthening our minds, nourishing our bodies, and fortifying our community. We give thanks for the privilege of focus, the wealth of knowledge, and the sanctuary of this circle. Rooted, shielded, undisturbed. Amen. Now let's get to it. The reset. Close your eyes and drop your shoulders. Take one deep, full breath. In, fill the lungs completely. And exhale. And let it go with a quiet sigh. Feel the physical weight of your body anchored right where you are. Bring your awareness to the inner circle voice, the endless noise of self-criticism, self-judgment, and constant evaluation. Now, picture turning the dial down on that internal commentary. Silence the critic. Shut down the overthinking. Recall the feeling of complete absorption, losing yourself in a piece of art, falling into sudden kiss, or stepping into an absolute flow. It is a surge of pure electricity that overpowers every other circuit. No hesitation, no second guessing, just you entirely merged with the moment. When unself-conscious joy arrives, do not analyze it, do not question it, grasp it, hold it, let it stretch out into the quiet space around you, filling your whole horizon. Signal over static, pure focus. Rooted, shielded, undisturbed. Now open your eyes. Start living. scrub trolls. I am not the one or the two. And very candidly, this next segment, I'm going to be focusing on just focus and spiritual maturity and why I refuse to let anyone else's chaos dictate how I protect myself. My boundary for no drama and etc. is what my perimeter looks like. I just want to basically get this out there. You're going to see probably a clip for this week's podcast, starting with my homage to Why the Trolls, Y'all Not Gonna Talk Me to Death. My comment sections lately have been kind of lit with unsolicited advice from haters. And you may see my comments count don't really correlate to what comments are actually in there. It's very simple. I barely read the comment because I know they just want to be froggy and they just want to be negative. So it's hidden. You basically are annoyed that I have figured out a system for myself that I get to create content that's essentially true, visually pleasing. And you still feel annoyed that not only am I getting the views, but I'm also getting people added to who follows me. A lot of the commentary and a lot of what my creations are reaching is usually 60 to 70% above my actual reach from my followers. And people seem to be mad at that. You actually are wasting your energy on the wrong person. I'm not basically going to give up to focus on your fiction. I'm not getting into a comment section theology or a back and forth because I'm definitely not going to stop producing high-level copy, sharing my healing journey, or using the sharpest tools available to do it. I basically just did my chart. I am a Scorpio rising. My perimeter has always been non-negotiable. I don't feed the outrage cycle. When bad faith static hits my feed, I have to comment. Feed the algorithm with my silence, pivot if necessary, improve, and just keep it pushing. But here's the uncomfortable truth for y'all. A lot of people stay trapped in a mess simply because struggle is their only rhythm they know. When you spend your whole life in survival mode, your nervous system gets addicted to that friction. You start mistaking a spike in cortisol for just feeling alive. You confuse constant panic and hyperreactivity with spiritual righteousness. And honestly, watching rigid, dogmatic literalists police everyone else's walk only makes their own faith look exhausted, fearful, and defensive. I've been saying this for a while. Y'all make Christian walk or Christianity look bad. And I'm not a part of that, Rob. I'm not a part of that. On this Sunday, I firmly believe that my foundation in Christ is rock solid. My faith is not fragile. It doesn't crumble because I read widely or because I choose to investigate the universe God made. The Apostle Paul wrote in 1 Thessalonians, "Test all things, hold fast what is good." That's not a suggestion to live in an intellectual echo chamber. That is a command to be active, discerning seeker. That's why people want to try to also confuse the AfroDruid ethos and why it makes so much sense to me, because I'm not tied up in some nonsensical, rigid dogma. I'm from the 10th house of Virgo sun. I demand precision, stewardship, and practical utility. I just want to know, Does this tool produce real fruit in my daily life? Does this habit clear inflammation from my body and bring stillness to my home? If it brings clarity and health and peace, it belongs in the blueprint. But let's be crystal clear. The tools that I subscribe to, like astrology, very much fit into that picture. I treat the cosmos as a meteorological clock, even though I can't pronounce it, not a master. Genesis 1:14 tells us directly that the sun, moon, and stars were placed in the heavens for signs and seasons. I read these rhythms the exact same way a farmer checks the weather to understand timing, cycles, and collective seasons. I never surrender my moral agency, my free will, or my reliance on the Creator to a daily horoscope. I use the baseline astrological archetypes as a psychological mirror for self-audit and discernment. By understanding my own blueprint, I'm not predicting what tomorrow holds. It's about mastering my attention today, what is now, identifying my blind spots and keeping my boundaries intact. Our spiritual perimeter is firm in the AfroDruid Ethos. It's signal over static. We discard the superstitious fluff, the fear-based doom-mongering, and the commercial nonsense. We keep only the functional truth that leaves us grounded, healthy, and undisturbed. So let everyone else exhaust themselves defending their chaos. Over here, we choose peace. We build systems that automate prosperity, protect physical sovereignty, and quiet the nervous system. We are rooted in faith. We are shielded by boundaries, undisturbed in our purpose. So that's where we are today. I'm not trying to prove to anyone about my Christian faith from how many Bible verses I can accurately spew out. I want to basically practice what I'm teaching and reading for purposes of just acknowledging and expanding my own knowledge. The Bible is a nuanced, double-sided posture outside of knowledge, or representing towards outside knowledge, philosophy, and foreign doctrines. It commands that you are actively discern, you test, you engage with broad wisdom, while strictly forbidding syncretism and idolatrous surrender and destabilizing spiritual confusion. The more I read, the less confused I am, because I have the ability to apply knowledge from different aspects of life. I spoke about 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Test all things, hold fast to what is good. This is Paul. Paul was the quintessential scholar. He basically used his scholarship as an application and made Christianities make sense to the cynics. Paul again at Areopagus, he used and was speaking to Greek philosophers in Athens. He demonstrated an understanding of their literature and their world through. He was quoting the poets, Aratus and Epimenides. In him we live and move and have our being, and for we are indeed his offspring, to bridge a philosophical divide and point them to divine truth. Then there was Daniel in the Old Testament, 1:17 and 20. Daniel and his companions were formally educated in literature, science, and learning of the Chaldeans at the Babylonian court. They mastered foreign systems and philosophies without compromising their core spiritual fidelity or adopting Babylonian idolatry. Take it all in, throw out the trash, and grow with it. That's how I seek learning. Then in Acts, Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in his words and deeds. Because his deep education in the secular and Egyptian science and administration was his foundational to his capabilities. He basically had the blessings of God, the knowledge of the Egyptians, and together he made a great leader. If then and going forward in the now, if you could actually do that, how great we would be and so much far ahead instead of taking several steps back and then have to rebuild, because I'm sure some petty people are keeping notes for what is being destroyed in this denial of facts, dyslexic hell that we have entered in. This age of obtuseness, intentional obtuseness. People just are intentionally trying to misunderstand and misquote. I just wish and I hope that the real basis of knowledge is not completely being destroyed because they're so arrogant in thinking their obtuseness and stupidity is going to always trump intelligence and right. But it's when you swing back, when the door swings over to stupidity with a vengeance, it's going to swing back to intelligence with a vengeance. And what we then know can rebuild and just rebuild it faster and better. There's scriptures that basically guard against confusion, deception. And that's what I think most of the idolatry talk, etc., in the Bible just wanted to basically have. When you have a whole bunch of different things and people are kind of not well in the head, you get confused and you're able to be somebody to be deceived. In Colossians 2:8, you see to it that no one takes you captive by philosophy and empty deceit, according to the human tradition, according to the elemental spirits of the world, and not according to Christ. This is a warning against studying philosophy. This is not a warning against studying philosophy, but against being taken captive, enslaved, or spiritually displaced by systems that are detached from ultimate truth. You got to seek a way, because if the two collide and there can't be, it doesn't interlink, the one I'm going to always toss away first, if it don't fit, is the one that's not spiritually placed. And that's really is discernment. Because if it's too left or too contrary, or it has no semblance to what is a spiritual truth, that's deceit, that is confusion to me, and I'm not going to be able to lock in on that. It's not applicable. I'm going to toss it. For God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. Because if it confusion, the fact, if it doesn't fit like a piece of a puzzle, quit, kick it out. If your exploration, again, generates persistent mental fragmentation, spiritual panic, or chaos, it violates divine signature of clarity and peace. If it makes me more confused, I'm not going to waste more time and energy trying to figure it out. That's a word right there. So that we may no longer be children, tossed to and fro by the waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by human cunning, by craftiness and deceitful schemes. This warns against intellectual instability and chasing every new ideology without an anchored foundation. I'll say it all the time. My foundation is Christianity, but I have learned by reading and just studying, there are truths in Buddhism, Taoism, naturalism, that all are also in lockstep But I also am never going to give up the framework or the baseline. I know whose I am and who I ultimately worship and love. When I have that basis, again, if it don't fit, I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to have to quit. Throughout Christian and intellectual history, from Augustine to C.S. Lewis, there's a balance that can be summarized by the concept of plundering the Egyptians. When the Israelites left Egypt, they took Egyptian gold and silver to build their tabernacle. My spiritual standard is clear. I am free to examine, understand, and extract wisdom from any field or system, provided I remain rooted in my primary source. I know what my spiritual perimeter and foundation is. I refuse to let outside static compromise what my core foundation is. I learned what static is. If it's just a whole bunch of shh, and there's no real signal, it doesn't apply, it doesn't give me peace, then I don't deal with it. I turn off and I change the channel. There are three major takeaways for somebody that is trying to combine whatever ethos that they want to represent. Mine for today is simply AfroDruid and astrology. Astrology is like a clock. It's not the master clock, though. I align biblical truths with in an Afro-Druid kind of dynamic and in my view of what the cosmos. It's like a natural order to things. Planetary cycles and seasons I observe for a personal timing to figure out my own energy rhythms and collective patterns. I will never surrender my moral agency, free will, or reliance on the creator to a horoscope. That's crazy. I find horoscopes fascinating. It's not going to keep me from skimming them from time to time, but I'm not going to base how I move forward or how I look at things based on a horoscope, because most of them are retrospective anyways. Not really helpful. Astrological archetypes I use for my own personal self-audit and discernment. When I worked out my own star chart, my placement of the sun, moon, and ascendant, they are just strictly psychological mirrors and language for pattern recognition. It just reinforces the Afro-Druid praxis of self-mastery. I identify where I am more naturally sharpened, where my blind spots may be, and how to structure my own daily boundaries without resorting to fatalism. I filter all of these astrological insights through AfroDruids, our digital doctrine and biblical testing. Remember, test all things, hold fast to what is good, Thessalonians. I discard superstitious fluff, doom-laden predictions, and commercialized static. I only extract the practical clarity that leaves me grounded, purposeful, or undisturbed. And some of y'all that just attend the church because you want to shout and have some type of release, you may want to revisit that. Are you gaining any practical guidelines that lead to more mental clarity that allows you to get through your week and make changes so you can actually be at peace? Do you feel grounded, purposeful, and undisturbed once you leave? Or do you end up feeling worse once you leave the protection and the confinements of the church building? I want to basically take those things with me to continue those blessings and those really rich feelings. I don't want the cortisol spikes that are associated with being in a hot service or etc. I don't want to continue to see or to seek out those cortisol spikes because that's all I'm used to. Life is too short. Continued high cortisol levels lead to illness, and child, ain't nobody got time for that. What we should be chasing is what makes life worth living. If we got to live in the here and now, how can we do that as peaceful as we possibly can? Again, we over here in AfroDruids, what do we chase? We don't chase a whole bunch of stuff, but our beliefs and our way we command our lives are rooted in faith, shielded by boundaries, undisturbed in our purpose, peace, undisturbed, and living our best life. And that's all you can actually hope to gain in this life. And I believe everybody would be a lot happier. People won't be running around with a whole bunch of injuries that are completely preventable. They'll actually be living and be happy. And actually pain-free, because you'll be actually less inflammation also equals less pain when you get control of those cortisol levels, y'all. Y'all remember in Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married, the 80-20 rule? This was a powerful relationship metaphor used to explain why people often cheat and leave good partners. The 80 is what you need. This represents the vast majority of solid relationships: honesty, support, history, loyalty, and a shared foundation. It's the person who holds you down through life struggles. That 20 is what you want. This represents the small gaps or missing pieces. Remember the lip gloss girl and Jill Scott was the 80. The 20% is the excitement. This is the specific type of physical attraction or the new person who laughs at all your jokes. It's often the flashy stuff that feels missing in a long-term routine. The core of the message is that people often get blinded by the 20%. They aren't getting at home. Because they have the 80% consistently, they begin to take the 80% for granted. When someone new comes along offering that missing 20, it looks like 100% because it's new and shiny. The tragedy of it is, if you leave the 80 for the 20, you eventually realize you've traded a whole foundation for a temporary thrill. That's why Jill Scott's ex-husband made her drive and she ended up finding another 80 or 100%. He was tripping for a while when he lost his way, but when he found his way, they were still together. How this fits into my brand or the music that I'm introducing is because it's raw emotions, vulnerability, and it's just a whole vibe. It actually is a testament to my creative mores. I think the hook and the music is great. Check out the video on Vivo and YouTube and just let me know in the comments how you're vibing with You Lost in 80. So thank you for listening. Also, this is a testament to the women that once you break up, you also still have to believe that you are the 80. That's okay too, that you recognize your worth. And just because you're not with that dodo bird like in 20 doesn't mean that you're not who you are and who you will continue to be. That's why the whole premise of the video shows the 80, your real life, and he flexing on Instagram with that Insta hoe, but he could have been basically cruising with you in Cairns, Australia. But y'all are flexing with filters and it's all fake. So just remember that. You are not who they want you to be, and that's also fine too. You just have to continue who you know that you are, because who you are is okay. And again, leave comments on any of the music that I actually released in the podcast. Yes, I own full rights, YouTube and Spotify. But just let me know what you think. The link directly to the music in the video will be in the podcast notes. And thank you for listening.
sliding through the screen. Oh, what a sight. Your words cut deep in the pale moonlight. Thought we were forever, but now we're through. You moved on quick with someone new. You slid into my DMs to break up with me. Thought it was a joke, but it was reality. Then premiered your new life with an insta-ho. Showed off the glamour, but I just let it go. While I'm sailing the seas, babe, you're all lost in your dreams, babe. Caught in the filters, unraveling at the seams. I'm living my truth while you chase the fake in this world of make-believe. What's real is at stake, 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 stake. Scrolling through memories, it's hard to forget the laughter we shared, the love with no regret. But now you're a star in a digital frame, while I'm just a ghost in this twisted game. You slid into my DMs to break up with me. Thought it was a joke, but it was reality. While I'm sailing the seas, haze, you're lost in your dreams, haze. Caught in the filters, unraveling at the seams. I'm living my truth while you chase the fake in this world of make-believe. What's real is at stake, 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 stake. All the sunsets I catch, the waves that I ride, with turtles as friends, I'm learning to glide. You thought you could break me, but look where I stand on the deck of my yacht with my heart in my hand. While I'm sailing the seas, you're lost in your dreams, caught in the filters, unraveling at the seam. I'm living my truth while you chase the fake in this world of make-believe. What's real is at stake, 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 stake,
If you're listening to this section of the podcast, you'll probably be wondering, where's that? Who did all that music? It is my AI-generated clone voice singing songs that I created at the beginning of the year. I look back and very reflective today because it just so happens that my usual podcast production day is my birthday. And this is just another trip around the sun, and still here. I'm still working on, this is the first time in 5 years that I'm celebrating my birthday without my stinky breath dog, Ethel. I can't remember what I did in previous years, but it just feels as though this year is just more poignant. I am just trying to just live in the what is now. I probably will go be getting my pool for the first time all summer after it was been closed down, after all the rehab that has taken place this summer. I plan on spending most of my day just enjoying it, chilling on my back porch. I probably will venture out to Scotty's or somewhere that really replicates those island overstuffed oysters in Atlanta, but I'm not driving 2 hours for oysters. I got my Tokyo Gateau. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. With 70% of the richest chocolate from India and the Dominican Republic. Again, 1-1 with the Instagram for a win, because I saw them make this online last week, or actually not even last week, a few days ago. It was here by Friday. I was enjoying it, and it's the richest but most delicious cake / fudge that I've ever tasted. I plan on drinking my way in my own Bali roast. As I said, that's one of my new adventures. Own an online coffee shop, and I'm my best customer. It wouldn't work for a crack dealer, but oh well, I'm not a crack dealer. I am learning, still healing, and I want to share my healing with everyone, because my path for healing is not linear. It's not tidy either. I don't wake up restored and perfectly clear and ready to give a keynote on anything I've learned, because true life doesn't work that way, but I'm getting there. There's no background strings, no immaculate before or after moment, and certainly no guarantee that every lesson will arrive with a flattering outfit. I just noticed this morning, and actually I had to create a 1-by-1 picture to send in with my private investigator's license, because it was coming up for a renewal at the end of this month. And I took the picture using photo booth on my computer, and then deleted the background and had it crafted with the right resolution for the purposes of the PI application. And I noticed right off the one thing: I don't have 3 chins now, and my eyes don't look as haunted as they did back in July. Actually, just a couple of weeks ago, I was still looking kind of crazy. My eyes were still looking like I was in physical pain. And some of it was my knees were hurting, my back hurts. But that sadness, that deep grief, I'm seeing it fade. And it's actually felt good to see that in myself. I'm intentionally seeking joy, and I don't feel I have to earn it. That can take continued practice, because most of us are conditioned to treat joy like a reward for finishing the work, solving the problem, surviving the season. You become the most useful person in the room, but joy is not to be held hostage by productivity. It can still arrive even though the work is still in progress. Joy and grief can actually be seat buddies. It can share the table with things we are still trying to figure out. And that is the kind of birthday actually having this year. I'm not declaring that everything is finished or all right. I'm just acknowledging that I'm still here, still becoming, and I'm increasingly willing to enjoy the view. And you can heal and you can still need cake. And I'm really dedicated to spreading rooted, shielded, and undisturbed as a mantra for as many people as possible. Shielding does not mean closed off from life. It means I become more discerning about what enters my mind, my schedule, my home, my spirit. Undisturbed does not mean that the world has stopped making noise. It just means that the noise no longer defines the rhythm of my life. That's the distinction. The valley and my whole view of things. And that's where Soul of the Valley comes in. It's about becoming much more, and it could put your finger on it finally. It's a coming together of a place of reading and mindfulness and spaciousness and restoration. It is designed for people who are tired of confusing a full calendar with a full life, people who may not need another wellness performance, but need somewhere they can just exhale. I think for the purposes of your own healing journey, you really need to be, or Soul of the Valley is the place to be. And it's coming up fast, about 45, 46 days away, October 8th to 11th. We're going to be in Rossville, just outside of Chattanooga. There's a full circle morning, there's a welcome dinner, and then you bring it all together before you have to return to your ordinary life if you want to on Monday. Details matter. The ending deserves just as much care as the beginning. It's not a 4 days of rushing towards the next scheduled thing. There's a bunch of stillness, conversation or not, reflection, good food, and books, and the kind of quiet that allows the nervous system to remember what calm feels like. There are mountain views, there will be guided experiences, and there will be coffee to drink and just space to read and enjoy the mountain air. For me, the creation of this retreat is part of the healing journey, not because I've arrived at some flawless destination, because I understand more clearly now what I want to make room for. I want to make room for people to put down the role they've been carrying. I want people and to make room for a person to sit on a porch without needing to answer an email. I want to make room for the book that has been waiting on the nightstand, the conversation that does not need to be forced, and the breath that does not need to be optimized. Rest is not a luxury because it looks beautiful in photographs. Rest is a luxury because it gives us back the parts of ourselves that constant urgency keeps borrowing. Because birthdays enjoy a little timing, August 24th is also a final day to use the retreat promo, the Early Bird 300. That takes $300 off the retreat registration through August 24th. However, there's an upcoming benefit that actually starts tomorrow at midnight, where it's $200 off for the harvest extension, limiting it to the first 5 people. Now, I've actually taken up 4 of the spaces now, so the available space has now dropped from 12 to 8. So if you want to participate, navigate to dalesangelsinc.com/Soul of the Valley Retreat. And to learn more about the retreat, the itineraries, the food, sit with it, talk it over with a person who may be ready for the same kind of reset. Because that's what my birthday is about. The reflection of being in the now, knowing that life does not have to be perfectly streamlined to be meaningful. Healing does not have to be aesthetically tidy to be real. A birthday can hold sweetness, salt, memory, anticipation, a little bit of buttered seafood without needing to explain itself. And I do it all from this beautiful valley that I now call my home. And I'm grateful to be here to see it. One more year around the sun, and I'm just grateful to be here one more time. And I look forward to my next journey around the sun.
Let's calibrate the frequency on this one. The swamp is crowded, full of underfed, frozen-faced predators, snapping at marbles, desperate to be the chosen editors. They call it a lifestyle, but the game is just a rigged simulation. A no-win test designed to force a toxic confrontation. But the operator arrived with a full-blown session. No damsel in this room, no victim waiting for a cape. Just a mogul in the shadows, measuring the shape.
You may actually hear Moving Mad in the background because all I've been doing is watching a lot of reality TV And also just a lot of content that I didn't even know existed. I gotta wash my hair tomorrow. I'll do that. But anyways, I'm gonna have to wash my hair anyways, especially if I go swimming. I wonder, is my swimming cap intact? Maybe that's what I also bought myself too. A new swimming cap and some new swim shoes. Happy birthday to me. Just the small things, y'all. Just the small things. Anyways, I've been watching a lot of reality TV, and I was rewatching Real Housewives of Atlanta, and then the reunion is now here. I'll probably rewatch parts 1 and 2. Parts 3 is coming up tonight, but I want to have this podcast edited and uploaded before 8 o'clock. So I probably won't hold the podcast unless something dramatic happens, which I don't think so. I'm going to just direct y'all to the direction of Monday Night Live with Carlos and them, because I think they do an amazing job of recapping the show itself. And the only thing I have to say about that is, Shamia, stop being a victim and live and come up in your bad bitchdom, because stop apologizing, stop lying, just live into the greatness and where you are. I've actually seen clips from Bose's wedding. She's from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and she is a boss, like old crazy Kathy Hilton said. Seeing the women in authentic Ghanaian clothes is hilarious to me. The bottom line is also a lot of what's going on the Ultimate Girls Trip. Some of it is entertaining. I think Dustin Ross and Carlos King's recap of the show is probably more entertaining, and is one of the reasons why I'll probably rewatch parts of it. And I'm grateful that I have it saved to my DVR or YouTube TV. Sorry to yawn. Because I'll rewatch that. But you know what? I won't rewatch, and I'm not going to give a whole bunch of credence to. I have tried to watch the 20th season of Real Housewives of Orange County. I think it's probably the most boring iteration of the Real Housewives franchise that I've ever seen. It looks as though as Tamra Judge is drugged, because even when she goes cuckoo, she literally makes the show worth watching. This manufactured storyline, we watch Shannon Bedore for another season go crazy and fall and trip and act like a dumbass because she's not properly getting her black back blown out and arguing over a room and trying to guilt Fancy Pants Heather Dubrow and her underfed ass. And I didn't realize that she's looked cachectic for about 4 or 5 seasons now. So she's been cachectic for a while. I always say she need to eat a sandwich, but she ain't been eating no sandwich since 2021. However, I can't even say that new addition of Daniela is making the show even more interesting, because it's being overshadowed by the screeching of horseface Vicky Gulveson, who Bubba Lip Bellino irked me to the point where she doesn't think that Vicky needs to go. Nobody is buying Vicky's stick. What she is doing is not interesting. She is acting straight 2013. She is acting like the Kelly Dotson since they threw her off. And Kelly Dotson said some racially provocative bullshit. And granted, that Indian doctor ate her ass up if you've been watching online. The online shenanigans of Real Housewives is more interesting than anything that Real Housewives of Orange County is putting out. Either Tamara needs to get activated and wake the fuck up, and Vicky needs to seriously go. Shannon Beador needs to go. When I can start seeing myself in most of these cast people, but they would pay me, and I know these women would always pay somebody like me, Dust. That's not entertaining. I don't like, or I don't find entertaining character traits of people like me. I'm boring. I know I'm boring. Why am I seeing myself in these women? I thought Real Housewives was supposed to be aspirational. Yes, it's a little bit unhinged. Yes, it's a little bit delusional. Some of these women are living above and beyond their means, Dorit Kemsley. But at the same time, it's still entertaining because it ain't my life. If I can identify myself in these women, y'all know y'all are reaching the bottom of the barrel. I don't find it entertaining. Y'all please need to switch up on the formula without going too evil and make some other things and make more people stop watching it because it's just so freaking boring. They are at the lowest of the Bravo ratings at this time, with number one being Below Deck. You mean to tell me a show about a bunch of rich people yachting in the Caribbean and a bunch of broke ass horny crew members is actually more entertaining than a staid 20-year Housewife franchise? Is this what we're doing now? Why are y'all still playing in my face? I thought y'all were playing in my face before with the shenanigans that have been going on and off between Beverly Hills and now OC. And y'all are still not giving Atlanta their props. Y'all, girl, bye. It would not shock me because they got her locked into this year, but it would not shock me if Vicky Gunvalson, either she's going to pivot and she's going to come back, or they're going to say, thank you for your service, but you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. Because I'm tired of seeing her horse face on OC, and I'm tired of seeing her horse face being dismissive to Cynthia MF and Bailey, of all people. It's crazy to me that she thinks this shit is cute. This shit ain't cute. This is what we call stupid. And ain't nobody got time for that. So, with that said, Vicky Gunvalson, you're making my head hurt. I'm tired of you seeing you on my TV. Either you're going to have to pivot. And also, I'm going to have to, whoever hired you back, we're going to have to check their head too. Because if she basically looked y'all in your face and says, I have not changed, and then I ain't going to change, and y'all still gave her a platform, yeah, somebody need to double check why you still got a job too. You can't tell me you've been off for almost a freaking decade and you said you haven't changed, and then you basically come front-footed, said, well, they hired me back. I got my orange back after begging all these years. And then you do the same bullshit that got you dots before, girl, bye. I'm tired of it all. Either change, but all I know is I will not be watching the show. I'll follow up on the clips of even old player hating up and Adam, and even Bubba Lip Bellino with Carlos King, because they almost went to fisticuffs when she said, oh, they shouldn't remove Vicky. And Carlos was like, girl, yes, they should, because she ain't doing shit. That was Carlos giving her some grace. But I've always not really liked her when she tried to shade Carlos for having this year's some designer that she was wearing. I haven't really liked her since then. I really can truly say I didn't really like her on the show, and I thought it was cheesy that she basically got with and married Shannon but freaking Beador's leftovers. But each to his own. Sometimes she has some good zingers. Sometimes, most of the time, she got on my nerves like she did this weekend. But I don't pay her checks and I don't pay her mortgage. Wasn't at the wedding because I don't know them people. All I got to know is I'm now very, very choosy about what I choose to let into my eyesight, because all this stuff is just, if it gets on my nerves too much and I know it's kind of not my reality, I ain't gonna be watching it. And that's the truth right there. It's all about positive vibes, entertainment. If it's not positive or entertaining, you gots to go and you do not get my view. Just saying. Oh, 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 oh. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of FAFFO has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?